this camera here a little bit. I feel like it's sitting too high. Is that better? I think that's better. Alrighty. Okay, today we are talking about, hi Janiqua, hi Medina. Today we're talking about CCS exam day prep tips. If you are taking your CCS exam or if you're going to be taking it soon, this video is for you. So let's see what we have. All right, and I've even pulled up the list of required books. I don't know why I always get this question because it's right on the website. It's on the website for AHIMA. If you are curious about any of the particulars, like what books you should get or whatever for the exam, there's a whole list of the approved books, and it even has the ISBN numbers. They have lots of different publishers that you can choose from. So if you have a particular publisher that you are partial to, that would be where you could look and find it. And I'll get into the publishers here in a minute when we get more people in. Oh, we got enough people. All right, guys, if you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. Okay, so little few notes first. Today is my mother's birthday, and I have just spent 6 hours on the road. I literally just got in. So if I'm a little tired or if I seem a little not here today, that's why. I miss my mother very much, and it was nice to spend time over at the cemetery and leave her some beautiful flowers and just spend some time there with her. The weather was beautiful today, and that's, I think, a great way to spend a birthday. So anyway, that being said, we'll go ahead and get into it. All right, so if you are taking the CCS exam, you know that this is a timed exam. This is a 4-hour exam. These exams are administered at Pearson VUE, and Pearson VUE is a third-party testing center that administers all the AHIMA exams, every last AHIMA exam. They administer all of them. When you go to the exam center, they will inspect your books. If you have handmade tabs, they will not allow this. If you have excessive writing, you will not be allowed to test with those books. This information is in the candidate hand guide. So please don't argue with me because you will be blocked. I literally don't have time for people to argue with me about that. It's literally there. And if you are using your books like you're supposed to, you will not even think about reading notes because you won't have time, okay? So make sure that your books are clean. They say you can have some writing, like little tiny notes, but nothing like a lot, okay? So just keep that in mind if you are marking up in your book. Again, no handmade tabs. The tabs that you can use have had to come with the book. So the CPT, Professional Edition by the AMA, does have its own tabs. I do have videos demonstrating how to tab the book. I don't recommend it anyway, because again, if you are using your book and practicing with it like you should, trust me, those tabs are going to get in your way. Now, I have taken 3 exams with AHIMA. I've taken the CCA, the CCSP, and I now have the CCS. And every single time I've taken one of these exams, I have not had my books tabbed at all, and that includes on the first exam. So I have always been accustomed to practicing with the book, and so that you got to know, all right? So make sure you have clean books and that you're really prepared. Somebody asked me the other day if they do allow for dictionaries, if you can bring a medical dictionary. You can. However, I don't really recommend it because you're not going to have time to sit there and look up one word in the medical dictionary. You have 4 hours for this exam. The exam is between 115 and 140 questions. And so you don't know how many questions you're going to have. So this averages out to about a minute and a half, minute 45 to 2 minutes per question. So you really don't have time to dawdle, when it comes to looking up words, okay? Just do your best and move on. If your medical terminology is not strong, you need to work on that. There's literally no excuse for not working on medical terminology when you become a medical coder. That's another thing that I see that a lot of people will say is it necessary? How do you expect to understand what you're reading if you don't understand the words? I'm just saying. So, just a little bit of, the other thing is, getting back to going to Pearson VUE, you cannot have any jewelry. You can wear a wedding band, but you cannot wear any jewelry. No earrings, no watch, not even if it's not a digital one, like if it's just a regular non-digital watch, you cannot have it. So make sure you don't have any jewelry, no belts, okay? So nothing big, no barrettes in your hair or anything like that. If you have like a big barrette or anything, you can't have that. So they don't allow for sweaters either. So dress accordingly. If you are a cold type person, make sure that you dress in something that's going to keep you a little warmer than you would if you have to have a jacket on. Okay, guys, you can't have jackets. You can't have anything in there with you. It's literally just you and the books in front of the computer. So I recommend just taking your books. You have to bring your ICD-10-CM, your CPT Professional Edition by the AMA, and your ICD-10 PCS manual. Now, from here, on the approved book list, this is for 2023. So right now, AHIMA exams are still in 2022 because we are at March 7th, 2023 today. And the 2022 editions are being used all the way till the end of April. May 1st is when the 2023 editions kick in. So if you're not, if it's not May 1st, after you've taken your exam, if it's up until April, the end of April, you have to use the 2022 editions. So just keep that in mind. You want to have the correct books when you go, because if you do not have the correct books, you will forfeit your exam fee. So you just want to make sure that you have the correct books and look on the AHIMA website. All right, guys. It's very important to do your research, not just ask me or not just ask somebody, okay? You have to learn to do this on your own too, because you are ultimately responsible for everything that happens in your career, whether it is, sitting for the exam and bringing the correct books, or finding your first job, So there's a lot of variety in the books that they do allow. You get your choice on your ICD-10-CM book and your ICD-10 PCS. So the publishers that they do allow are the AHIMA publisher. AHIMA publishes their own ICD-10-CM book and ICD-10 PCS book. However, you all know what my preference is, which is going to be the Optum 360, and that's also listed here. The Optum 360, ICD-10-CM, the expert for hospitals with guidelines of spiral bound, or the expert for physicians. I personally use the expert for physicians. It really doesn't matter whether you choose hospitals or physicians, but I have just always used physicians, the physicians edition. So that's what I would recommend. They do also allow for Elsevier's books, AAPC book, Decision Health, and another one from Elsevier. It's the 2023 Bucks ICD-10-CM for physicians. Now, you guys know how I feel about the Bucks books, let alone their ICD-10-CM book. So I'm just going to leave that there. PCS, AHIMA, the AMA, the soft-bound edition from the AMA, Elsevier, the Optum 360, ICD-10 PCS. It has to be the spiral-bound book. So there's two versions of the ICD-10 PCS book on the Optum 360 coding website. There's the one with the flat edge, and you don't want that one because you can't test with that one. It has to be the spiral bound edition. So just make sure that you pick very carefully. And again, the ISBN number is here on the website as well. The AAPC ICD-10 PCS Expert Edition or Decision Health. Now, Decision Health has some really good books. I really like some of their books. But again, when it comes to who I trust, when it comes to the ICD-10-CM and ICD-10 PCS, that's going to always go to Optum 360 coding. So I'm just saying. And then, of course, your CPT edition has to be the one from the AMA, the CPT Professional. It's a spiral bound. And if you're taking it after May 1st, it's going to be the 2023 edition. Okay. If you are taking it up until April, the end of April, it's got to be the 2022. Okay, and you'll see that it will be there on your registration papers what books that you need in the year version. So you've got to make sure that you pay attention to that. Okay, you don't want to show up with the wrong books. I'm just saying. All right. Hi, Liz. Hi, Infinite. Hi, Christine. Hi, Lee. Hi, Alexandria. Hi, Jane. Thank you all for joining me. So, yes. Again, it's a 4-hour exam, and it's broken down into 2 parts. There's your multiple choice part, and then you have your case studies part. Now, I will say this. Again, this is a 4-hour exam. The goal is to get through all of the questions so that you have the highest possible chance of passing as well. You don't want to be rushing at the last minute trying to just guess a bunch of things. You want to make sure that when you are pacing yourself throughout the exam, there will be a clock that will count down the time that you have left. You cannot flag or go back on any of these questions. You have to answer the question and move on. Now, this is okay, is an exam. You're really not going to have time to do that anyway. You guys got to stop with these retracted messages because it messes with me. But anyway, when you are going through, pick whatever answer it is that you need to pick and move on. Don't sit there and second guess about it, because one question is not going to throw you. Okay, if you get multiple questions wrong, then of course, the results could be bad. But you want to make sure that you are just going with your first gut instinct, because that's the way it always is. Your first instinct is going to be the correct answer. So just make sure that you select it and move on. Don't beat yourself up about it. If you don't know how to code a procedure, don't spend your time, spend your wheels looking at it. Just pick the best choice that you can and move on, okay? Because you're not going to figure it out if you don't know how to code the procedure, right? So just choose the best answer that you possibly can. I always say that it's critical to make sure that you're studying at least 20 hours per week before you take your exam. Do not cram before your exam. There's a very, very small percentage of the population that can cram right before an exam and do really well. A very small portion. If you cram the day before, the night before, and you're trying to figure out all this stuff, and you're like, oh my gosh, you're setting yourself up to fail. If you've been consistently studying for 20 hours per week up until that point, you're going to be prepared. And it's just going to be a matter of, okay, I've studied. I'm going to take a week or 3 days off before I go for my exam. I say a week and people fight me. They're like, I can't, Blue, I can't. Okay, at least 3 days. At least 3 days to give your brain a rest. So that way when you go in to take your exam, then you're going to be okay. You're going to be refreshed. You're going to be ready. You're not going to be so tired. You're going to have a good night's sleep. You're going to wake up, get breakfast, or however you do things in the morning. And, you're going to be prepared. But it's all about preparedness and not trying to scramble at the last minute, because these tests do not play. This is not a game. And a lot of people are very cavalier about, oh, if I fail it, I'll just pay it again. Don't have that attitude. Think of it more of, let me prepare myself, working 20 hours per week on my studies until I get to that point. Give myself a break beforehand and then go to take my exam. Now, your exam, it depends on where you go to test at which Pearson View Center, but you will see a schedule of the available times. And if you're a morning person, obviously go for the morning. If you're an afternoon person, they do have the ones when I went, they do have noon slots, available. It really all depends, again, where you are and where you're going. But if they have something in the afternoon, go in the afternoon. There's no need to stress yourself in the morning if you're not a morning person, if you feel like you're going to get stressed out getting up so early. Just take it easy. When I took the CCSP and the CCS, I took both of them at noon. That's what I scheduled my test for. So that way I could just get up and relax and have breakfast and, just, not drink coffee, because I love to drink coffee, but I didn't want to be too jittery. So I made sure I had some tea to just give myself that caffeine to wake up in the morning. And that was how I was prepared and ready. And then I showed up at the testing center and they signed me in and I was ready to rock and roll. And so, you know, and it worked out. So I'm just saying, but that's what you have to know when you're getting ready to take these exams, because they're there, guys, and there's no sense in stressing yourself when you could make things easy for yourself. I took the day before my exam. I took my exam, my CCS exam, on a Wednesday, and I took the Tuesday off because from work, because I didn't want anything in my head. I hadn't been studying. I had stopped studying the weekend, like Friday, I think, and I stopped studying. And then I didn't study on Monday night. And then Tuesday, I didn't want any distractions. I didn't want anything from anybody. Nothing from work, nothing from anything. I didn't film. I didn't do anything because I had already pre-filmed ahead of time. And so I didn't do anything for the channels. I just literally relaxed. And I watched movies and I just took some downtime for myself, and, and I was ready. And I was telling myself, because of course you get that nervous feeling, those butterfly feelings. And I said to myself, no, I got this. I've practiced that PCS book forward and backward, and I'm ready, All right. So let's see. What do we got here? All right. Ram says, I'm studying now and waiting to test until after May 1st. I ordered the CCS exam, the 13th edition, and of course it's on back order. Hopefully it ships soon, and it's not going to help you. It won't. When it comes to the CCS exam prep book, it's literally not even close to preparing you for the exam. There's other people who've had, positive things with it, but from what I have and when I prepared, that book is nothing compared to that exam. Nothing compared to that exam. There's better options for prep. I'm just saying. Medina says, sorry, I've been waiting to see if there will be a beta period for 2023 testing. No news is good news. When in doubt, pick C. Christine, cramming is never a good idea, even for people who are good with their own tests. Pamela says, hi, Blue. When do you need to start doing your CEU before the renewal of your credentials? The day that you get you're certified is the day you can start earning CEUs. That's when you can start earning them. And you have your whole 2-year cycle to earn them. But of course, you don't want to be waiting at the last minute to try to get them. I've seen too many people do that. I'm like, that's irresponsible to wait until the last minute. Somebody was posting, I think it was on either Facebook or LinkedIn, one of the two, that, they had about a week left and they had to get all these CEUs. I'm like, why did you even wait till the last minute? You have a whole 2 years to get it figured out. I'm just saying. Christine says, I've been really good at tests during college. I'm feeling apprehensive to complete the certification of medical coding. So if you've been out of school for a while, that's where the apprehension can come from sometimes. I don't know your story. But the longer you wait, the more you're likely to forget the things that you learned in school. So I always recommend that once you've completed a program in school, that you test within 90 days. So that's 3 months from the time you graduate to the time any time in between that you can sit for that exam. Now, if you feel ready, by all means, go ahead and sit for it as soon as you can, right? Within the first 30 days, but don't get past those 90 days, because what happens is people will say, well, I just need a little bit more time to study. And then another month goes by. Oh, no, I'm not ready yet. Something happened, my life, my work, my kids, my family, my dog, my cat, and then I just need a little bit more time. So another 3 months goes by. Oh, it'll be okay. I need to pay for new books anyway, so I'll just go ahead and just take it in, in another 3 months. And by the time you know it, a year, 2 years passes, and you haven't taken the exam. So got to make sure that you take the exam as soon as you can. The worst thing that'll happen, if you fail, you fail. But as long as you give yourself a shot to take the test and not just overthink it to where you don't even take the test at all, right? You have to at least give yourself the opportunity to prove yourself wrong, right? But give yourself the chance to go ahead and sit for it. But again, if you're studying 20 hours consistently per week, you're going to be ready. And please don't tell me, Blue, I have a full-time job, I got kids, and I got 9 kids, and I got a family and everything. Don't give me that, because if you want this, you will make the time. 20 hours a week is very doable. And do you want to hear how it goes? This is how it goes. 30 minutes on your drive to work. If you have a minimum of 30 minutes drive to work, great. 30 minutes listening to coding guidelines, or listening to the YouTube HIPAA channel, or listening to something else related to coding. Or you can listen to the anatomy channel, just listening to those words. 30 minutes. Your lunch, 30 minutes. You could be working with flashcards while you eat. You could be listening to something. You could be watching a video while you eat. That's another 30 minutes. Then on the drive home, another 30 minutes. That's an hour and a half you've been listening or doing flashcards, right? Now, when you get home, you cook, you clean, you do all the stuff, you do the dishes and everything else. 1 hour. I know you've got an hour. I know you do. Because not everybody is going to be sitting there right on top of their kids. Kids today have iPads in front of their face. They don't go outside and play. They're playing video games or whatever the heck else. So they're inside. It's not like you have to watch them. They're literally inside. And then you can be doing your thing for 1 hour. Just study for 1 hour. You work through the workbook, you read the coding guidelines, or you do something for 1 hour and then you stop. Give yourself a break. Go take a shower. Go do whatever you got to do. Tuck the kids into bed, and then you give yourself another hour. Now that's 3.5 hours in one day that you just did of study. 3.5. It didn't impact anybody. It doesn't impact your family time. It doesn't impact, time with your spouse. It doesn't impact any of that. 3.5 hours, 5 days a week. That's 17.5 hours during the week. And now guess what? You just have 2.5 hours for the weekend. And you can do that on a Saturday. 2.5 hours. And you're not going to sit through that full 2.5 hours. Oh, no. You're going to break it down just like I did this way. 30 minutes, 30 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, 1 hour. However you want to do it. If you want to do an hour and then another hour and then 30 minutes, but you make sure you break in between, that's 2.5 hours. Done. And then you have the rest of the weekend to play with your family, work, doing whatever around the house and have everything. It's that easy to work it in. But there's a lot of people that make excuses. So I'll know this, I'll know that. You'll find a way. If you really, truly do want it, you will find a way. I know, because people tell me all the time, Blue, I have all these kids and I have a family and I still manage to watch your videos, which thank you very much. And I still managed to study and I still managed to get it, and I passed my exam. There you go. And now look, whatever you got to do now to find your job. Because trust me, your kids, if that's what you're so concerned with, right? Your kids are seeing how you study and how do you handle adversity, as far as like, now you've got all this responsibility. How does my parent handle this? Because that's exactly what I'm going to do as a child, right? I'm going to mimic what I see. So when you're running from a problem, your kid is going to run from a problem. Or they're going to say, well, I'm bored with this, so I'm going to give it up. And they're going to go from thing to thing to thing to thing. I know you don't want that. I know you want them to be successful. And how do successful people become successful? By going through those rough times where they don't want to give up, or give up. They don't want to get up. They don't want to study. They don't want to read, but they still do it anyway. They still do it anyway. It's called commitment. It's called, sacrifice. It's called discipline. That's what it's called. Again, I just spent 6 hours on the road today. I've had a very emotional day, and I'm still here because I'm committed. I'm disciplined. This is what I do. I could have easily said, I didn't want to film today. I could have easily said it, but I didn't. Because again, this is a commitment, and I'm walking the walk with all of you to show you that this is what you have to do. You have to be disciplined. And people say, well, Blue, you don't have all this. You have no idea what I have on my plate. There's a lot of things you all don't know. And trust me, I've got a life outside of this. But there's a lot of things that go on in the back I don't share here. So that's what you have to know. Everybody's journey is different, but it all comes from how badly do you want this? Because when your kids see you struggle and you push through it, they're going to struggle and push through things too so that they can be successful. And then they can be successful adults. You see a lot of adults right now who have a hard time adulting because they're not used to it. They're used to seeing people give up right away and oh, it's on to the next thing, which is why y'all see me that I don't do TikToks, I don't do reels, I don't do any of that, because it's, to me, it's promoting that that quick low attention span. That's what it's promoting, and that's why I refuse to do it. Oh, Blue, you could grow your channel doing it. No, 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 no. If people want me and they want to see my channel, see what I have to offer, see all the things that I've been saying, they'll have the patience to go through it, or they can hit the speed up button, whatever. But that's just something that, again, you know, there's a reason for that I do the things that I do, or that I don't do the things that I do. Okay, so that's something that you have to keep in mind. Now, what did I miss here? All right. Okay, what did I do? Okay, Ram says, I'm not counting on it. Good. I use it as a study purpose only. I already have an RHIT and the AHIMA prep book, and both RPG were great. I do the prep exams and study in depth what I miss. Lee says, my CCA is on April 1st. I'm a newbie at medical coding and so nervous. Congratulations. That is awesome. You're going to do great. You're going to do great. Medina says, the AHA Nellie Chisholm book is awesome to study for the CCS. Yes, it is. That is the one that I will hands down always recommend. Always. VG says, I overthought for an entire year and lost my chance last year. Well, you can still get back on that horse and do it again. Ram says, not counting on the CCS prep book solely. I like the exams and my method is kind of working backwards, but it works for me. Thank you for going over the CCS again. I appreciate all that you do. Lee says, so glad you are live streaming tonight. I learned a lot from you, Blue. Thank you. You're welcome. So yes, but those are the big things that you have to know about preparing for that exam. You know, the CCS is the gold standard of medical coding credentials. I say it a lot because it's true. When you look at the job listings, you'll see that 99.9% of employers will ask the individual to have a CCS because this says that you've mastered both inpatient coding and outpatient coding. Even if you never code on the inpatient side, they still like to have the option of having you be able to be cross-trained into that type of setting. So there's a method to their madness as well. You know, they want somebody who's fully prepared, right? And not to say that people who have a CPC can't do inpatient, because all the inpatient coders at my facility, they're all CPCs. So yeah, I'm just saying. So it is possible to do inpatient coding with a CPC. However, that's not what is tested on the CPC exam. So if you want to do that, then you would be best served to study with the Nellie Chisholm book, the ICD-10-CM and ICD-10-PCS coding handbook with the answers. Now, I will say this also. The one that I have recommended, the 2019 edition, for some reason, it went from $39. Now it is, I can't find it for less than $89. So you have the option now, of course, anytime, to get newer editions that are probably going to be cheaper. Okay, so I think that they saw like a spike in the amount of people that were ordering that book. So just saying, make sure that you do your research and find the best deal for that book. Don't just buy books blindly. Make sure that you do your research so that way you get the best deal for these books, because these books get expensive. And when it comes to preparedness and preparing for your exam, you want to make sure that you get quality materials, because the books that you use are going to make a huge difference. The tools that you use as a medical coder make a huge difference. Just saying. um, Jesus is love. Hi, Blue. I really want to start my coding class, but I don't know where to take a class. Any help? Thank you for the information you're giving me. Maybe I'm just tired. Hold on. Coding class, but I don't know where. So you don't know where to sign up for a coding class? Is that what you're trying to say? Jesus is love. Is that what you're trying to say? Because if you're asking me what program that I recommend, I always say that you can choose from AHIMA online or AAPC online. You can choose either one of those. And they have their online program. AAPC is a little bit more expensive because it has all these other fees like the membership fee and all this other good stuff. And then sometimes they try to sell you the CPC plus the CPB package, which again, you don't need it. The CPB is just a longer form of the reimbursement test. Okay. You're already tested on reimbursement with the CPC exam. And there's all these other things that they try to sell you because AAPC is a for-profit organization. AHIMA, the American Health Information Management Association, is a non-profit organization. So there's a huge difference between the two. I will say they run about the same cost though. So, with all the other fees though, you could end up paying more of AAPC. But they're both, the programs are both like self-directed. They're just going to give you the material and basically you're going to study it. As far as like the other schools, I've done so many videos on like the schools that people have asked me about. Not all of them. so don't come at me with all these other ones because I really hate to do those review videos, even though people seem to like it. But I hate to do them because one, it gives that school advertisement. Two, I don't know the instructors. I don't know the material. All I know is basically what they're displaying on the website. And sometimes when I say, okay, well, this book isn't good that they mentioned that they have, and then somebody will come on and say, well, I did it, it didn't work for me, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, if it works for you, great. Although I do know what those books look like. So there's a difference between a veteran coder who knows and somebody who's brand new and doesn't know. I'm just trying to help people. If you had a good positive experience with it, maybe it's because you don't know anything else, So I'm just saying. Or you could self-study. I do the whole independent study syllabus. Don't ask me where it is because it's in the videos. Independent study for medical coding. It'll pop up. And it's actually in the description box too, the link for that video. And it's got all the books that you need, all the time that you're going to be studying for the exam, and all the time that you should spend on each particular subject. Now, if you work it through that way, it'll be 9 months to a year to complete it all. And to me, that's a good amount of time because if you go 9 months, 12 months, or 18 months, that's good. If you try to sign up for a program that's 4 months long, oh my gosh, it's setting you up to fail because it's so much information. It is so much information. I can't stand it that people go through those programs and then it doesn't prepare them for the real world. Then they get out in the real world because they were taught how to crack the exam. Another word I hate. That word and the word fresher, I think is nails on a chalkboard. 2 words I hate. Crack the exam and fresher. I can't with those 2 words. But with the crack the exam, yeah, you can pass a test. Okay, now when you get into the real world and you're being tested from the employer, because they have to be able to assess your skills, right? And then you can't pass that. So how can you get a job? And then people who can't get a job because they can't pass the test, then they're running around telling people, oh, you can't get hired because they didn't want to hire me. Because you're not studying on your own. You have to supplement your studies. So if you are in a 4-month program, supplement your studies on your own so that way you can be prepared for the real world. I'm just saying. All right. Alexis says, hi, Blue, BLEU. I am honored to have followed you and here and on Patreon with AAPC is purchasing the practice exams after A, B, C, and D, after A and B and C. I don't know. I don't think so. I think that the practice exams are just so that you have the option of practicing more. But again, if you're studying with the books, you're going to be just fine. You know, what is it? What is the AAPC study guide? The CPC study guide? That's good. I mean, some people I've heard that they do like really well with like, you know, using those practice tests, but oh, let's see, a HEMA book. Um, I don't know where my, I don't know what I did with my AAPC book. But if you want to get those practice tests, you can. I mean, it's up to you, but I don't think it's necessary. Oh, okay. Because I was just like, what is RPG? But I was like, I'll look it up later. So I got it now. PRG. Okay, got it. Okay, yes, I have the CPC study guide. Awesome. Study with that. Study with that because that's going to set you up for success. That is a very good book. And now I will say that. And I'm with AHEMA. And I will say that the AAPC study guide, the CPC study guide is great. It's a fantastic book. That's why I recommend it even if you're studying for the CCS exam because it's all outpatient coding. It is all outpatient coding. And they have really good sized scenarios throughout the book. And I just think it's fantastic. So I really think that's all you need. This is me. But if you want to get those practice tests, by all means, you know, it never hurts, you know. But no, I don't think it's absolutely necessary. So what else can I say about the test? Oh, so with the CCS, they will let you know right away if it's not in a beta period. Now, a beta period just means that you may hear it. You'll see it on the website if there is one. But basically what it means is they have to wait for a certain number of people to take the exam before they can release the scores. That's just how they do it. And you could be waiting up to 6 months to find out, which I think would be misery. But, you know, there are some people who have had to go through that. So that's just something that you have to keep in mind, you know. If there is not a beta period, okay, then you will get your exam results printed right away, and then you'll know right away if you passed or you failed. And both times when I took the CCSP and when I took the CCS, they printed them off right there and they just handed it to me and I had to look at it and I'm like having to look twice and 3 times because I'm trying to like, where is the answer, you know? And, you know, thankfully the last time the lady was like, I'm very happy for you. Congratulations. I'm like, you know, so that helps me. I'm like, okay, now I'm looking to verify, but if I hear it, then I'm good, you know? So, yes, they will let you know right away. But if they are in a beta period, you'll have your results sent to you, and then you'll just have to wait on pins and needles very impatiently for those results. So it just depends, you know, when you take it. But yes, and then after that, it takes a couple of days for it to go through on a HEMA so that you can print your certificate, like your actual certificate that says that you have the CCS, and then it'll give you your registration number and everything. So yeah, and then you can show it to your employer, or you can start getting out there and applying for jobs, and and you can have that CCS on your name, and that's for immediate put on your name, you know. As soon as I passed, I certainly went right to LinkedIn and I updated my name immediately because that way people know what are your credentials, what do you have, and that can be on any professional correspondence. You can add your credentials to your name. So. All right. What else? Yeah, and that's it. When you take it, you take it. But in the instance that you fail it, let's talk about that. If you fail the CCS exam, of course, it's not going to be a good feeling. Okay. There is a 90-day waiting period to take the test again. All right. A lot of people are like curious about that. Like, how soon can I take the test again? If you failed it by a large margin, meaning more than 10 points, more than 25 points, if you failed it by that much, if you failed it more than that, you need to wait a little bit longer than 3 months. Or you really need to look at restructuring how you study. Because sometimes when people are studying for their exam, they cram in short amounts of time, and they do half of the time that's recommended. So they'll say, well, Blue, I study 10 hours per week. 10 hours a week's not going to cut it, guys. It won't. There's very few people who can do it. And even if you have experience in the medical field already, like you've been a nurse, you've been a tech, a surgical tech, or x-ray tech, or whatever, it still doesn't matter, because medical coding is a lot different from all of these other fields. We have to know what doctors know while never having gone to medical school. We have to be able to interpret what they say in these documents and translate it into codes that are not always written the same way as is in the documentation. Okay, so that's something that you have to know right off the bat. So just keep that in mind. And if you failed it, make sure that you stop and reassess what happened. Don't just give up because you failed it. If you look at the pass-fail rates on the AHIMA website, you'll see that this is the percentage of people who pass on the first try is very low. It is very low. And so don't beat yourself up if you fail it only one time. Even if you fail it a couple times, it's okay. There's some people that have to take a few runs at the test, but really stop and reassess where you are. How did you study? Are you setting yourself up for success? Are you looking at your books, like physically taking a day to open up your books and look at the pages, not read it everything, okay? Because it's too much reading, but at least learn where everything is. Look at all the notes and where you can find things, because your brain is recording this stuff. It's going to get familiar with it the more you do it. And then you're going to know exactly in the front cover, when you open up the CPT manual, in the front cover, there's a whole list of all the modifiers and where they apply to. And then there's the next section is going to be talking about E&M and all these other things. And so the more familiar you get with these books, the less intimidating they will be. Okay, so that's the first part of cleaning up after you failed your exam. And don't beat yourself up. You failed. It's done. It's over with. You can't go back. You can't change anything. Okay, so keep that in mind. You can't change anything. The past is the past and it's done. So all you can do is move forward and stop kicking yourself, because it's not going to do you any good. Refocus your goals and refocus yourself on passing that time. Now, if you see that you failed in a certain section, and you say, okay, well, I know I need help. Find a mentor, find a tutor. Now, a lot of people want to argue with me about finding a tutor. Guys, sometimes you have to put out a little bit more money, and you have to stop saying, well, my teacher didn't teach me. Your teacher didn't teach you. That's done, long gone. You can't get that back either. You can't get that back either. So if your teacher didn't teach you, or they would get upset with you because you ask questions, again, not everybody who teaches medical coding is taught with, what is that word? Andragogy, right? Which is how to teach adults. Not everybody can do that, right? So there's some people who can do it naturally, and there's other people that need to be trained. And there's some people who think that they know and they don't know. So it really all depends. But if that was your problem, where the teacher just wasn't a very good teacher, let it go. Let it go and find somebody else. Find a mentor. Mentor will help you for free, right? Find a tutor. Tutor you have to pay. But if you find a tutor that's good for you, that can explain things to you, that can break things down, that's all you need. I'm a tutor myself. My rate is in the description box below. If you don't want me, that's fine. There's a ton of tutors on LinkedIn. All you have to do is say, I'm looking for a medical coding tutor. And you'll see a lot of people either saying, well, I do it, or I know somebody who does it, or whatever. But when I do it, I just ask the person to let me know what it is what's throwing them. If it's about E&M, if it's about injury coding, if it's about how to do surgeries and things like that, bring me something so that I can break it down to you, because I don't teach lessons. I teach you how to see it differently so that you can get it. And we do this over Zoom. Okay, so, and they're at 1 hour blocks at a time. If you need an additional hour, then you got to pay for that. But it's 1 hour at a time. I always set my sessions to 1 hour at a time. I've been asked before, can I break it down into 4 15-minute sessions? No, sir. No, sir. You can't even get off the ground in 15 minutes. I'm just saying. Pamela says, CCS proud. Woo! Yes, Medina, not everyone is apt to teach. Pamela says, it's a lot to take in and it can be overwhelming. It can be. It really can be. So, and there's a lot of people who say, well, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And that's understandable, because even I didn't know what I was getting myself into when I first got into medical coding. I was just like, what the heck is this? I have to know all of this stuff? Yeah. And then you learn more along the way. Liz says, do they give you your test results back? Can you see what areas you missed more questions on? Or is it just an overall score? Or is it just the total questions missed? No, you actually don't know how many questions you missed. Okay. And some people say, well, I missed it by 1 point. 1 point could mean that you missed it by several questions. You know, they have a different sliding scale on how they grade these exams, but it doesn't tell you specifically which question you messed up on. What it does is it breaks down all the 4 domains, and it gives you the percentage that you passed. Okay, that's it. So, you know, okay. So that's what they do when they give you the exam results. So sometimes you never know what exact question you missed. But then these questions are going to be different every single time. It's not going to be the same test. There are a pool of about 1 million questions, and I say this facetiously because it's not just 1 million questions. It's probably a couple thousand questions or whatever, and everybody's test is different. So it really all depends on what it randomly generates in order to give you your exam. So you don't know. But it will tell you the percentage that you got right. So at least you'll know, because you'll know where you scored lowest. And if it's, you know, in a particular domain, then you know that you have to really study in that domain. But 51.9% of that exam is the coding knowledge and application. So, you know, that's a big part of it. You know, and if you don't do well in that, then you need to practice more. Okay, practice more. I'm just saying. But yes, if you break it down into manageable pieces, then you won't be so overwhelmed. And again, like I said, 20 hours is doable and it's manageable as long as you break it down 30 minutes, 30 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, 1 hour. 17 and a half hours by the end of the week, 5 days. And then you just have 2.5 hours on the weekend, and that's it, you're done. And so that's totally doable. Doesn't matter how busy your schedule is. It is totally doable, you know, but we make time for the things that we want. If it's really important to us, we will make the time for it. If it is not important to us, we will make every excuse in the world not to do it. Okay. And not everything is going to be glamorous. Not everything is going to be exciting. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to be boring. These coding guidelines are very boring. A lot of people have said, well, why can't they write them in a way that is more exciting or is more understandable? That would be like rewriting the law, you know, and making it more where we can understand it. That's why they have lawyers who go to school and learn legalese, right? It's the same thing like this. You know, it's not going to be brought down to our level where we can understand. We have to rise to the level so that we can understand, because they will not change things for people. We have to meet it. It will not meet us. Okay. So that's why it's very important. And if you ever want to get really confident, that's where you really got to head first, is those coding guidelines, because right now they're not going to make sense. It's not not until you start applying it in the real world, then it'll start making sense. Medina says, it's so easy to start studying and the hours will go by. Yes, that's why you have to be disciplined to set a alarm, because you can't go past an hour. It's not going to stay. We as adults cannot study like we did when we were kids, when we didn't have mortgages, when we didn't have car notes and all these other things, responsibilities, and we didn't have to worry about all this stuff. Then we could study for hours on end. But I always encourage adults. I'm encouraging adults. Now, study however you like. Study however you like. Whatever works for you, that's fine. But what I'm telling you is this. Again, as a successful medical coder who's been in the industry 15 years now, I'm telling you from experience, stop at 1 hour, break 15 minutes, 10 minutes, come back to it if you want to, 30 minutes, an hour, take an hour break, whatever you have to, in order so that it'll stay. Because the longer you study, and I know because this happened to me when I was studying for the CCS. I was studying and I was so mad because I really wanted to get the PCS part. I really wanted to understand it. And I studied longer than I should have. Well, I started to get it at first. I started to miss the questions because I looked at the clock and I was already at 2 hours. And so I was like, that's why. And so I never did it again after that. So I always made sure that I set the alarm because I can get lost in studying too, you know? Yes, very, very true. But so hopefully that will help you if you're getting ready to study for your CCS exam. If you're studying right now for your CCS exam, you're thinking, am I ever going to get this? You will. You will. It's just a lot of things that you have to learn, you know. And before, AHIMA used to have like, you had to have this, this, and this. And they changed a lot of things. So now they just allow, you know, if you want to take it, go ahead, you know. So, but you got to be prepared, and you can be prepared. Anybody can be prepared. I'm just saying. So, does anybody else have any other questions before I wrap this one up? Because we are at 50 minutes already. Don't wait too long. If you have been in school and you've graduated, don't wait too long because you're going to forget everything. And there's nothing worse than forgetting HIPAA and your guidelines and how to code. And when you pass, don't stop studying either. I'm saying that too. Because a lot of people will say, well, I got my certification last year and I haven't been able to find a job. Okay, probably because there's something wrong with the resume. They're not applying it enough places. They're waiting for them to say entry level so they can apply for it. Guys, you got to apply anyway. Even if they're asking for 3 to 5 years experience, doesn't matter. Go ahead and apply because it's free to apply, right? And they're never going to know that you're out there unless you put yourself in front of them. I'm just saying. So if you do that, you know, okay, great. You know, you're applying. But people who have said, I passed last year and I haven't been able to find a job. Okay, how often you're studying? Well, I study, okay, that tells me that you're not studying. Well, I didn't want to say that. Well, I mean, you're talking to a veteran. I know, I've seen it all. So make sure that you're still studying, get the workbooks so that way you can practice. You don't want to get rusty. You want to get better, okay? You want to get better with time, not worse with time, okay? And don't rely on these people to train you because they're not. That's why they don't want to hire new people because they see a lot of people that want to get their hand held and that they want to have somebody to train them. That I want an entry-level training position. Okay, if you want that, it's going to be few and far in between. And you're not going to get all the experience that you think you're going to get. You're not going to get all the hands-on training that you think you're going to get either. I'm just saying, you know. Christine says, side note, the game of chess is marvelous to enhance concentration that affects the methods of study sessions. I didn't know that. You know, that is a fun fact about me. I get chess sets for like Christmas. You know, I have like 4 or 5 chess sets. People think I play chess. I've never played chess in my life. I don't even know how to play, but they're beautiful sets. I'm not going to give them back because they're beautiful. And I'm like, okay, thank you. But they think I play chess, so I've never played chess, you know. But if I ever do, I've got plenty of really nice sets to play with. I'm just saying. Medina says, I love chess. Okay. Studying now for the CCS helps me with my current job. It's awesome. That's really cool. Hi, Heidi. Thank you for the blue heart. Yes. So, but yeah, I think that's gonna be it. I'm just gonna wrap up my show. Christine says, I had to learn to play chess in the 3rd grade. Wow. That's really awesome. I mean, that if anything, a 3rd grader, right? And you're teaching them to play chess, what a fantastic way to teach concentration and strategy and methodical thinking, right? And really critically think too. And so that's such an important quality that medical coders have to have, is to be the ability to be able to critical think, because we can't just do what people tell us to do. We have to know why. We have to be analytical. And what a fantastic game to learn at such an age when you're developing and you need to learn that skill. And that's really cool. Thanks for the heart wings. So, yes, I am very tired. Like I said, I drove 6 hours today, but it was worth it. And it was very peaceful. And that is what I needed to do. So it is my mom's birthday. So happy birthday, Mom. I love you. And I'm going to wrap this one up. So thanks, guys, for tuning in. If this video helped you, please like, subscribe, and share. And I will see y'all next time. Bye.